Welcome in, everybody. Thanks for joining me today. This is Charlie Castro. I want to thank you for being on. This is just going to be a short 30-minute YouTube video. We have a couple of announcements to make. There's some things going on in the real estate industry that we think you need to be made aware of. So we're going to talk about a couple different things today. Number one, we're now operating as Buy Right Properties. We'll talk about that. We'll be introducing some new bank vendors, so very important. We'll be talking about some new folks we'll be adding to our list of vendors that we already work with. And we're going to talk about where some of the low-end REO deals have gone. As you may have noticed in the last few months, we've seen a reduction, quite a big reduction actually, in the amount of inventory that's out there. So those will be our subjects for today. If you have a pen and paper handy, you might want to just have that out and be prepared to take down some notes. Again, I'll keep this to 30 minutes. I will do my very best to not bore you. But if you are a bank buyer, I'd really ask you to kind of stick around to the end if you can, because there's some important things that we're going to talk about that you want to know about. We are now incorporated under Buy Right Properties. Our website will be buyrightproperties.net. We're going to talk about that, what that website will be doing, what the functionality of it will be, and how you can benefit from that. We'll talk about that. Again, we've added a couple new bank sources. That's on our agenda today. And then also we're going to talk about just some current information about the state of the market. I'm just going to do a couple slides about some things we've read recently that you might find interesting. Okay, so we are now Buy Right Properties. Our website will be live next week. I'm recording this video, by the way, on Friday, September the 29th. By October the 2nd or 3rd, which is Monday or Tuesday, the website should be live. Probably won't be fully functional for 4 or 5 days. Obviously, there'll be some tweaking to do. But the website will be buyrightproperties.net. We'll be posting a summary of all of our inventory received, and that means almost daily we're going to update that with inventory. So if you're going to utilize and go to our website, we'd encourage you to do that. It's going to be a way for us to communicate with you in a faster manner, to be able to see. In many cases, I'll give you an example. In many cases, I get inventory on a daily basis and can't get it out the same day. It could be 2 or 3 days before I even get the inventory out. So what we're going to do instead, as we get inventory, we're going to post the summary on the website. If you see something on there that's interesting to you or something you'd like to take a look at, we can then send you the list. It's just going to be an easier way for us to post inventory as we get it, allowing you to see what we have that we get on a day in, day out basis. And of course, if you have interest in it, you just contact us and we'll send you the spreadsheets on those. Most of you know we do not and are not fans of just mass blasting inventory. We don't believe that's a good way to market. It doesn't show proper respect for the selling party, number one, and number two, your lists tend to end up all over the place. So we don't do that, and we're going to continue to not do that. If you request a list, we'll be glad to get that to you. We're going to have a referral link on there that's going to allow you to refer us buyers for a percentage of our gross fee. Contact me about that. If you're a broker or an intermediary and you want to earn some passive income by referring us buyers, we're going to do a very simple fee agreement where we agree to split on a percentage basis our fees with you that refer us that buyer. There'll be a link for that, so be looking for that. And we'll be updating the database for buyers and their criteria. So we're going to have a link on there that's going to let you be able to fill in what your criteria is. And then as we get criteria, what our goal is obviously is to be able to match up what you're looking for with what we get. So in some cases, it won't even go to our website. If you have a specific type of buying criteria and we've come across something, we can just send that to you directly without even having to request it. An announcement today, we are adding 2 new bank vendors. I'm going to talk about all of our bank vendors here in 1 second, but we're pleased to announce 2 new bank vendors. Ocwen is a group that we've been asked about really for a couple of years. And there's a number of reasons why we weren't fans of the Ocwen list, but we are now marketing it. I'll talk about that in some detail in 1 second. And also NationStar, so 2 different bank lists. Ocwen comes out the first week of October. NationStar, so our first list will be next week for Ocwen, and NationStar comes out around the 1st and the 15th of the month. So we're going to get 2 lists a month from them, and they're not sent consistently from what we understand. So that's not a hard date, but it's going to be somewhere around the middle and the beginning of the month. Now, this is interesting. You must be a registered buyer in order to bid. If you do not pre-register, they ask you to put up a 50% deposit in escrow when you bid. Not when you win the bid, but when you bid. So if you bid on a property for $50,000, you have to send $25,000 of that to escrow. And that is a cumbersome thing to ask someone to do. But that's how both of these groups have operated for quite some time. Now, we've been able to get around this by allowing them to register you as a buyer with them. In other words, you need to have your current proof of funds, your corporate details, all the things we would normally ask you when buying a bank property. When you buy a bank property, there's certain information you have to give to get to be able to buy that property. We're going to do that up front with both of these groups. Once you're registered, then you have to place that 50% bid. So it's really important that you contact me or Matt and find out what we need to get from you. If you're already a bank buyer, you know what we need, because every time you've made a bid and want to bid on a property, all the other banks do the same exact thing. You got to send in your corporate docs, you got to send in a proof of current POF, all that stuff has to go. But we'll do that up front with both Ocwen and NationStar. So contact us about those details. So these are our current list of bank vendors. Auction.com begins again October 12th to 14th. Now, for those of you who've been around a little bit, you know that we stopped marketing the Auction.com properties back in, I want to say March or maybe April, and that's because our VIP rep left. For those of you that know the process, you know why that was so critical to our operation for Auction.com. She is back October the 12th. I'll get a list sometime within a few days of that. So in a couple short weeks from now, we'll be marketing the Auction.com tape again. Hudson Marshall, we get that list every week. We sent out a great one today. It was about 800 properties nationwide. They were all discounted. If you don't have that, again, you'll be seeing this early part of the week or even over the weekend. It just came out today, Friday, so contact us for that. Realty Bid comes out religiously every Monday. These are mostly all discounted. Now, I can tell you that with Realty Bid, it's a short list always. It's like 150 to 250 properties. It's never a big list. But there's some deals on it, so you want to contact them. When they are giving us now what the banks will accept in terms of less than the indicative bid or the reserve price, they do tell us which banks will take less and how much less they'll consider. I already mentioned Ocwen. They'll be out twice monthly, and NationStar comes out the first month. So that is our group of bank vendors. It's now 5 different groups that we're working with. We get this directly from them. We don't go through intermediaries on these. So if you're not on our bank list, you want to look at bank-owned property, I would encourage you to do that. And I should mention, people ask us all the time, we don't do a ton of volume with our bank contacts, especially after we stop marketing for Auction.com, but we do enough to make it worth our while. The reason you want to stay on that list if you're not in that list is everybody expects there to be a downturn in this market, and everybody expects that there's going to come a point in time when these banks are going to start discounting this property down. What happens if you're well positioned, you're receiving those lists, you'll be able to have access to that inventory. I would encourage everybody that if you're interested in bank-owned foreclosed property, to contact us and learn how to get on that list. Now, I'm just a quick piece because it kind of plays into what I'm going to talk about next. But I pulled this off just a couple days ago. It's a CNBC article, and it just said, "Stop sugarcoating the housing market. Economist warns that buyers face increasing troubles." Now, what this article talks about, I'll just go through real briefly, but the nation's housing market is an unhealthy and increasingly mismatched with today's buyers. In other words, with buyers are looking for one thing and the market's offering something else. Home sales are falling because demand is on the low end, where there are too few homes, and the homes that are available are very expensive. There are 8 million more renter-occupied homes now than there were in 2007. So right before the crash, there's 8 million more rentals now than there was then. And by the way, if you were in the market in 2008, 9, and 10, you know what was going on then. The hedge funds were buying up as much as they could buy. So supply in the low end is tight because during the housing crash, investors, both large and small, brought hundreds of thousands of foreclosed properties. That is absolutely true. They turned those into rentals. 8 million more rentals today than there were in 2007. Investors could take the opportunity of high prices and high demand to sell these properties, but today's high rents offer them better returns. I'm going to talk about that in a few slides because we're seeing another trend shift with regards to rented tenant-occupied cash flowing homes. For those that were around in the golden days of 2011 to 2014, most of my clients at that time were hedge funds, and they were buying everything they could find. And people thought, wow, look at the housing market. It's recovering. It's great. The economy's getting strong. Well, that was true. The economy was getting stronger, and the housing market certainly was getting better. Interest rates were laying lower. But the reality of it was the housing market recovered because the hedge funds were buying up properties and turning them into rentals. That's really the fact of it. So, by the way, I'm paraphrasing. This is a very long article, but pulling out the stuff I think is relevant to you as an investor. So what does this all mean for the economy and personal wealth? It means the renter nation will persist and fewer Americans will be able to save and grow their money in a home. It also means rents will continue to rise due to high demand, leaving more Americans with less disposable income to spend. In other words, it's not healthy. But if you're a buy and hold investor, that's good news. And I think that's why we're seeing a shift right now where most people aren't doing as many flips and more people are starting to look, especially some small funds. We've had a couple new clients added to our list in the last 90 days that are funds, small funds, but they're big enough to where they're able to buy 50 to 100 homes every month. But interestingly, while they'll buy vacant property, they're also looking to buy tenant-occupied property. We'll talk about that here just in a couple slides. So what impact does this have on the investment community? Well, first of all, if you're a buyer, a wholesaler, a broker, an investor, this is what you need to know. Inventory is definitely shrinking. Prices are still rising. Sellers are less likely to sell at these deep discounts, especially if you're looking to buy tenant-occupied stuff. Now, there are pockets where you can still get good deals. I'll talk about that in 1 second. But in most cases, if you're an owner of a tenant-occupied cash flowing portfolio and you're rocking and rolling at 15 to 20% cap rate and your note is basically paid off, you're not going to discount that. The replacement costs are higher. There's no need to discount. So if you're in that space, you're going to probably pay more for that tenant-occupied stuff. On the REO stuff, on the other hand, that's where you can get your really good deals, and I'll talk about that in a second. And competition for the same inventory has never been higher. We have more people looking to buy and not enough inventory. And I'll talk about a couple of markets where we're strong with inventory and a couple of markets where we're getting weaker. Bank pricing in most cases remained at or above fair market value with some exceptions. We're going to talk about that right now. This applies to bank stuff too, but we're going to talk about private owned REOs now. But this applies also to bank stuff, especially where I talk about where you can get discounts. Let's do that first. The states where you can still get big discounts are in Michigan, Ohio, Illinois, Florida, Indiana, the Carolinas, Alabama, and Wisconsin. There are others, like Kentucky and Mississippi and places like that. But for the most, that's where most people are buying. I just sat down and looked at my ledger with regards to where we're selling the bulk of inventory at. And right now it's really in Michigan, Ohio, Illinois, Indiana, Wisconsin, and a little bit in Florida. States where you will not find heavily discounted property, and we've been saying this for a long time, but it's important to know this because if you're looking for this kind of inventory, I just sort of think you're wasting your time. But California, Nevada, Arizona, particularly Phoenix, Texas, especially the 4 major markets in Texas, Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, and what am I forgetting? It's Austin, I guess. And then the 5 boroughs in New York. You're not going to get, if you're looking at the 5 boroughs in New York, there's literally hundreds of people that are bidding on those, and they're primarily all bank properties. But if you're looking in New York, particularly in the 5 boroughs, you're just not going to get deals there. Denver's been recently added to this. Denver's a hot market. Housing prices have gone way up. Not a lot of investors finding stuff there. So those are markets you're not going to get good deals. But some other things that we're seeing right now, some changes. We're seeing a reduced amount of inventory, especially if you're a buyer in Michigan. Michigan has been hotter for 18 months now. Michigan has been on fire, and some places in Ohio as well. If you're looking for rental portfolios, I got a bunch right now in Ohio, and in most, I think 5 cities there, big cities: Columbus, Cleveland, Akron, Dayton. There's just a lot of rental inventory there available. Youngstown, if you're a buyer in Youngstown, contact me. I got a really inexpensive portfolio there. But you're just not going to find a lot of good inventory in those other 5 places. For some reason, we're seeing more and more notes, both performing contract for deeds as well as non-performing notes. I don't know why that is all of a sudden, but they seem to be on the market in some bulk. And so if you're a note buyer, contact us. We have someone that runs a trade desk, that runs our note trade desk, and she'll be glad to talk to you about what kind of inventory she's seeing. Now, much to our surprise, if you go back just 6 months ago, I would tell you getting tenant-occupied cash flowing properties that are renovated was really difficult, and there just wasn't a lot available out there. Well, for some reason, I don't know why, but for some reason, we're getting portfolios in markets like I mentioned a moment ago: Toledo, Youngstown, Columbus, Cleveland, Detroit, Michigan, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Indianapolis, Indiana, Jacksonville, Florida, as well as in South Carolina. If you're looking for stabilized cash flowing assets, in most of those states I just mentioned right there, you can get discounts on some of those. You're not going to get them at 50%, but you can get decent discounts on them. We can still get portfolios, and I have a couple right now, are in Atlanta. But Atlanta, the sellers in Atlanta just aren't going to budge from their prices. So if you're looking in Atlanta, you're looking at a 10 to 15 cap, or some of these other markets you're looking at a 15 to a 25 cap. And you're just not going to get as big a discounts in places like Atlanta. You must contact us to receive these lists or go to our website. You can view the summary page on the website, but if you're interested in the portfolio, you can then contact us to get the spreadsheet on each one. Just some friendly reminders when you're bidding on bank-owned. Actually, I take that back. If you're bidding on anything, whether it be bank-owned inventory, whether it be private REOs, there's just a few things that you need to know that's really critically important. Do not bid unless you're done doing you're conducting your due diligence. We still, believe it or not, after doing multiple YouTube videos, having webinars, multiple hundreds of hours on the phones talking to people, not everybody still understands it. But when you make an offer on something, whether it be a bank property or whether it be an REO property, or excuse me, a privately owned REO property, your due diligence comes first. Don't submit your bid till you do your due diligence. And bid response time can be from an hour to 14 days. And the 14 days part, by the way, is only with banks. Banks sometimes can take that long to get back to you. But on a privately owned REO, a private property for sale, the response time is typically within a day or so, and sometimes way faster than that. Lockbox codes, most always on privately owned REOs, we can get you lockbox codes. Only on Hudson Marshall, Nation Star, and Ocwen have lockbox codes, which basically just means RealtyBid and Auction.com do not give out lockbox codes. Any private REO, we can generally get you a lockbox code to get inside the property. We have been asking for a while now to just give us your highest and best bid when making an offer. Now, why is that so important? Now, let me explain what that means first. You make an offer. It could be a bank property, could be in private, doesn't matter. You make an offer property for $10,000, but you know you can go 12 or 13. You need to give us the 12 or 13 number up front. It does help us because some of this stuff goes so fast that if there's multiple people looking at a property, there's always the possibility that somebody's going to beat you out by a day or even an hour because we can't get a hold of you to get your highest and best bid. We won't submit your highest and best bid, but if we have it, we can use it if we have to counter back, especially on bank property. If you're in a multiple bid situation where you're bidding against multiple people, you need to have your highest offer on the table. And know the competition is stiff. Inventory is moving fast. There's a lot of people out there looking to buy still. That really hasn't changed much. Just what's changed is there's just not much inventory to pick from, and so it's more competitive. You want to be aggressive. You want to act when you see the lists. And our website was one of the thoughts when we decided to launch a website, something we hadn't planned on doing. But one of the things we thought we calculated in was, well, it'll be quicker. We can just get the inventory on a daily basis. I write up a quick summary. Matt posts it to the website. If you've got an interest in it, you got to contact us. We'll give you the list. But it gives you inventory directly or access to our inventory directly and very, very quickly. Now, what we need to know is a couple things. If you want to continue to see these lists, we're asking again that you contact us and tell us a few things. Now, if you're one of our consistent buyers, you don't have to do that. If you're watching this for the first time or the second time, you're not on our list of buyers that we send out property to on a weekly basis. If you'd like to be added to it, yeah, you need to contact us. We know who the buyers are. We've got a very solid base of people we work with. But if you're new and you want to be added to it, we need to know that. And then we need to know what you want to see, bank or privately owned REOs. And then, of course, we want to know your markets. If we know those three things, we have a pretty good idea what you're looking for. For example, if you say, well, I'm buying in the Atlanta market, I want to see both bank and privately owned, that we know exactly what to send you. The only other thing that can help us is what price points. In particular, if you're looking for low-end stock. If you're a low-end buyer, and I'm talking about that $5,000 to $15,000 property, that's a whole different beast. We still get those lists on a monthly basis. There's a lot of inventory there, but that really helps me because it tells me exactly what you're trying to do. If you're looking for that $5,000 property in Detroit, I know exactly what the animal is you're looking for, so that helps a lot. But we need that information. Again, email that to either preauctionbids@gmail.com. That is Matt's email address, and he does control the database, so wouldn't be a terrible idea to email Matt. It's not Matt at preauction, it's just preauctionbids@gmail.com. And then, of course, my email address is charlie.castro@sbcglobal.net. You can contact me there. And here's our contact information. I'll leave that up there for the next 20 seconds or so you can jot that down. If you want more information about how you can get on our list, just drop us a note, drop us an email. We do get, as I said, we get lists in on a daily basis. And so with the limited inventory out there right now and getting slimmer, it looks like, for the foreseeable future, it's not a bad idea to be at the top of that list and make sure that everything we get in-house is coming directly to you. So with that, I want to say thank you. I'm Charlie Castro. Thanks for joining me today. We look forward to hearing from you. And if you got questions, just give me and or Matt a call. I left our numbers up there for a few seconds, so give us a call, and we look forward to talking to you. God bless everybody. Have a great day.